Gretchen Groundhog, It's Your Day by Abby Levine. And the publisher is Whitman and Company. Okay. It was a dark, snowy night. Gretchen Groundhog sat in her burrow worrying. In a few days it would be February 2nd, when the world would be watching the little town of Piccadilly. On that day, for the first time, Gretchen would step from her burrow to stand before TV cameras, newspaper reporters, tourists, all the townsfolk, and a brass band. Everyone would be waiting as Gretchen looked for her shadow. I think maybe she's nervous. For as long as she could remember, it had been Great Uncle Gus who searched for his shadow before the anxious crowd. If he saw it, there would be a roar of disappointment, for this meant winter would last 6 more dreary weeks. The band would play slow, sad music, and Gus would trudge back into his burrow. So there he is right there, see him? And then there's his shadow. If there was no shadow, the band would play a lively tune, and everyone would hug and cheer. Spring was around the corner. See right here? They're happy about spring coming. But now, Great Uncle Gus was too old. It was up to Gretchen, his only relative, to carry on. I can't do it, Gretchen told her great uncle. I'm just too shy. I can't stand there with everyone looking at me. You can do it, said Great Uncle Gus. The first time is always the hardest. But Gretchen knew she could not go out. She's super shy. Gretchen's not going out. The news flashed through Piccadilly. What will we do? The townsfolk asked each other. On January 30th, there was a story about Gretchen on the front page of the Post. See right here, it says, Piccadilly puzzled. Piccadilly puzzled, the headline said. The story continued. There has always been a Groundhog Day in Piccadilly, but this year it seems Gretchen Groundhog will not go out. How will we plan if we do not know when winter will end? The townsfolk stopped Gretchen on the street. They peppered her with questions. Should we buy more salt to put on the icy roads? Asked the mayor. A father asked, shall I chop more wood for my family? When can the bears stop hibernating? Asked the little boy. Please, everyone, begged. Please, dear Gretchen, go out on Groundhog Day. Tell us when winter will end. But Gretchen only shook her head. On January 31st, Gretchen lit a cheery fire, but it did not help her mood. All day the doorbell chimed, the phone rang, an email erupted, and urgent letters plopped through the mail slot. Gretchen felt terrible. It seemed like the longest day of her life. See, everybody wants her to do it. On February 1st, the town was in an uproar. Tourists filled the motels. In front of Gretchen's burrow, carpenters were building wooden stands for the crowd. The TV crews had arrived, and the band was practicing with squawky sounds. Groundhog Day was only hours away. Piccadilly panicked, read the Post. Soon the eyes of the world will be upon us. What will happen if Gretchen does not go out? See, there's the papers right there. Everybody's waiting for her. There's their little house right there. Knock, knock, knock. 3 townsfolk were waiting when Gretchen opened the door. You must try, Gretchen, said the town historian. There has always been a Groundhog Day in Piccadilly. Do, Gretchen. I'll stand beside you, said the police chief. I'll make you famous, said the editor of the Post, but Gretchen only shook her head. She still doesn't want to do it. All afternoon and evening visitors came. Knock, knock, knock. Gretchen, are you there? Knock, knock, knock. Gretchen! See, they're looking in her door right there. That night, weary and sad, Gretchen fell asleep in her rocking chair, but she heard the townsfolk even in her dreams. Knock, knock, knock. Please, Gretchen, open the door. Gretchen awoke, but the knocking did not stop. She hurried to the door and looked out the peephole. There on the moonlit snow stood a little girl. It was Hester, the town's historian's daughter. See, she's right there. May I come in? Hester asked. Gretchen opened the door. She helped Hester take off her coat, soggy mittens, and wet boots and muffler. See, there she is right there. And she took off her stuff. I won't stay long, Hester said. I wanted you to see these. I found them while I was helping my mother. She held out a wooden box with some yellowed pieces of paper in it. Gretchen could see that they had old-fashioned writing on them. What's this? Gretchen asked. Records from our town history, Hester explained. While Great Uncle Gus made cups of steaming cocoa, Gretchen studied the first piece of paper. Tomorrow I must go out, it read, to stand before the pilgrims and Indians. I am greatly afeared. It was signed Goody Groundhog. It was her relative. Gretchen was amazed. Goody Groundhog lived a long time ago. She came to America on the Mayflower before there was a Piccadilly. My mother says Goody told everyone the second winter would be better than the first, said Hester. They were very glad. See, here's a picture of the old groundhog. Gretchen leafed through the papers. Here's one by George Groundhog at Valley Forge, she exclaimed. He said, I am affrighted to go out, but I shall. The winter has been long and hard. The soldiers must know what will be. My mother said George told them the winter would go on a long time, said Hester. Everyone was very sad. There he is right there. As Gretchen read through the papers, she became more and more excited. There was a page from brave General Grant Groundhog, who had fought in the Civil War, and Jean Groundhog, a tough cowboy, and Gloria Groundhog, who became a movie star. Cowboy, movie star. They were all afraid to go out, Gretchen said. She read the last piece of paper. I am scared, but tomorrow I will try to go out, it said. It was signed by Gus Groundhog. You? Said Gretchen to Great Uncle Gus. Her great uncle looked surprised. Then a dreamy look came into his eyes. It was so long ago, I'd forgotten it, he said. Now I remember I couldn't eat or sleep the night before. What happened then? Asked Gretchen. My great uncle Grover helped me, said Gus. He said, you can do it, Gus. The first time is always the hardest. The clock began to chime. 9, 10, 11, 12. They counted together. Oh my gosh, I've got to go, Hester said. I've never stayed up so late. Thank you for everything, Hester, Gretchen said. She and Hester gave each other a big hug. Gretchen went to bed and lay quietly in the darkness. She thought about the next morning, about all the townsfolk gathered, the TV cameras and the crowds, the blaring of the band. She turned on the light, wrote a few lines on a piece of paper, and put it in the history box. Then she closed her eyes and fell asleep. Gretchen's dreams were peaceful. She awoke with the sound of voices and the squeaks of the band tuning up. She put on her coat and muffler, boots and mittens. She took a deep breath. You can do it, she whispered to herself. Then Gretchen Groundhog flung open the door and stepped into the February morning. Okay, let's see if she sees her shadow. Here's what it says. February 3rd, Piccadilly pleased and proud. Gretchen goes out. I think there was no shadow, so there was spring coming. The end.